The gas line hissed. Nora Vale heard it 2 seconds before the world exploded. Fire punched through Fort Liberty's mess hall, trapping 6 recruits behind a wall of flame, while the so-called Special Forces candidates stood frozen useless. But Nora wasn't frozen. Her hands moved like she'd done this 1,000 times before, because she had. They called her kitchen staff. They had no idea who she really was. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and stay until the end, then drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far Nora's story travels. Nora Vale's knife moved through the onions faster than most people could track. Dice, 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 perfect 1/4-inch cubes, no hesitation, no wasted motion. The kind of precision that came from muscle memory drilled so deep it bypassed the brain entirely. "Jesus, Nora," Maria said from the grill station. "You trying to set a world record?" Nora didn't look up. "Just efficient. That's one word for it. I've seen line cooks with 20 years who can't work a blade like that." Nora swept the onions into a container and reached for the next one. 5:30 in the morning, and Fort Liberty's main mess hall was already heating up literally and figuratively. In 90 minutes, 600 hungry soldiers would flood through those doors expecting hot food, and plenty of it. She'd been doing this for 8 months. Same routine, same station, same careful anonymity. Her sleeves stayed rolled down to her wrists despite the kitchen heat. Always. The first soldier arrived at 05:55, 5 minutes early. Young guy, maybe 19, still had that fresh recruit shine. Nora scooped eggs onto his tray without making eye contact. "Thanks, ma'am." She nodded. Next. By 06:15, the line stretched to the door. Nora worked the serving station with the same efficiency she'd brought to the knife work, scoop, serve, move. No chit-chat. No personality. Just function. That's when she felt eyes on her. 3 men stood in line, and they weren't regular infantry. Too old to be recruits. Too cocky to be NCOs, wrong kind of swagger for actual operators. The tall one in front, 6'4", blonde jaw like a cinder block, stared at her with the kind of intensity that made her neck itch. "Morning," he said, voice smooth as gun oil. "Blake Harrow. Just transferred in for Special Forces assessment." Nora scooped eggs onto his tray. "Congratulations." "You don't seem impressed." "I serve eggs. Impressed isn't in the job description." She looked past him. "Next." Blake didn't move. His eyes tracked down to her wrists, lingered on the cuffs of her sleeves. "Hot in here. Why the long sleeves? Dress code. Next." "I've worked 6 Army kitchens. Nobody enforces sleeve length." Nora met his eyes for the first time. Cold. Calculating. This wasn't casual conversation. This was reconnaissance. "Your eggs are getting cold," she said. "Move." On something flickered across his face. Annoyance, maybe, or recognition that she wasn't going to play. He moved. His 2 friends followed, both still watching her. Maria leaned close as the line continued. "Those guys give me the creeps." Agreed. They've been here 3 days. Asking questions about staff, about schedules, about who's been here longest. Nora's hand paused halfway to the eggs. "What kind of questions?" "Specific ones. Like they're looking for someone." The breakfast rush ended at 07:30. Nora was hauling a 50-pound flour sack from storage when Blake appeared in the hallway, blocking her path. His 2 friends flanked him. "Need something?" Nora asked. "Information." Blake crossed his arms. "You've been here 8 months. Before that, nothing. No employment history? No references? No social media? You're a ghost." "I'm private. There's a difference. Nobody's that private. Not in 2025. He stepped closer. "So here's what I think. I think you're hiding something, and I think it's under those sleeves. Nora's pulse stayed steady. You've got quite an imagination for an SF candidate. Shouldn't you be training instead of harassing kitchen staff? Training doesn't start until 0900. That gives me time. His hand moved to his hip, not threatening, just casual. Just enough to let her see the bulge under his shirt, a sidearm. SF candidates didn't carry on base. Nora recalculated everything. These weren't candidates. They were operators, wrong flavor, wrong allegiance, but operators nonetheless. Move, she said quietly. Make me. She thought about it. Thought about the 17 ways she could drop him in under 3 seconds. Thought about how good it would feel to wipe that smirk off his face. Thought about how it would blow 8 months of careful anonymity to hell. Please move, she said instead. Blake grinned like he'd won something. Then he stepped aside. Nora walked past, feeling their eyes on her back the whole way. The lunch rush started at 1100. Nora worked the line again, hands moving on autopilot. Scoop serve next. The mess hall packed tight with bodies and noise, 300 soldiers, all talking, all hungry, silverware clattering against trays. That's when the smell hit her. Gas. Not propane from the stoves. Something sharper, heavier. Natural gas. Nora's head snapped up. Her eyes tracked across the kitchen to the industrial supply line that fed all 6 cooking stations. There, a shimmer in the air near the main valve, like heat ripples off asphalt. Active leak. Her brain kicked into combat mode, calculating automatically. Enclosed space, poor ventilation, multiple ignition sources. Gas saturation rate estimated at 0.05% per minute. Flash point at 3%. Time to critical 6 minutes, maybe 7. She set down the serving spoon and moved toward the valve. Dropped to one knee. Examined the connection. Someone had loosened it, recently. The wrench marks were fresh. This wasn't an accident. This was an attack. Maria. Nora kept her voice level. Clear the kitchen. Back exit. Now. Don't argue, just go. Maria looked at her face and went. Nora reached for the valve, started tightening it. Her hands worked fast muscle memory from 847 devices, diffused 847 chances to get it wrong and die. This was easy by comparison. Just a valve, just pressure, just the valve wouldn't turn. She looked closer, saw the problem. The threads had been deliberately stripped. Someone had loosened it just enough to bleed gas, then damaged it so it couldn't be tightened again. Professional work. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Nora stood up, mind racing. Couldn't stop the leak, couldn't clear the building fast enough. But she could control where the blast went when it happened, and it would happen. She checked her watch. Maybe 4 minutes left before something sparked. She looked across the dining area. Most soldiers were evacuating now, following Maria's lead. But 6 recruits sat in the far corner, and Blake's 2 friends stood at the exits, not letting them pass. Kill box. The 6 recruits were the targets. Nora crossed the kitchen in 8 strides, grabbed a wrench from the wall cabinet, moved to the secondary gas valve on the north wall, the one that fed the backup cooking stations, the ones nobody used anymore because the equipment was old. The north wall backed onto the equipment storage room. Concrete reinforced. Empty. If she opened this valve, increased the gas concentration near the storage room, the initial blast would punch through the wall into the storage area instead of into the dining room. Basic physics. Gas follows concentration gradients. Fire follows gas. She could save the 6 recruits, but it meant deliberately making the explosion bigger. Nora's hands didn't shake. They never did when it mattered. She opened the valve. Gas hissed out, pooling along the floor toward the storage room. She had maybe 90 seconds before the concentration reached flashpoint. "What the hell are you doing?" Blake's voice. Nora didn't turn around. "Saving lives. Get those 6 kids out. Now." "They stay." "Then you're murdering them." "And you're nobody. Kitchen staff. You don't give orders." Nora stood up slowly, turned around. Blake stood 10 feet away, hand resting on his hip, right over the weapon bulge. "Last chance," he said. "Walk away. You've got maybe 60 seconds. Save yourself." "Not wired that way." "Then you're stupid." "Probably." Nora moved toward the 6 recruits. "But I'm still breathing, and you're about to be evidence." Blake's hand moved to his weapon. Nora moved faster. She closed the distance in 3 steps, too close for him to draw cleanly, and drove her palm into his solar plexus. Not hard enough to kill, just hard enough to empty his lungs. He folded, gasping. She swept his leg, rode him down, stripped the weapon from his holster in one smooth motion. Glock 19. 15 rounds. She cleared the chamber, ejected the magazine, tossed both across the room in different directions. Blake stared up at her, eyes wide. "Who the hell are you? Nobody important, just kitchen staff." She left him on the floor and ran to the 6 recruits. They were kids. Real kids, 17 and 18, scared out of their minds. One of them, a girl with red hair and freckles, looked up as Nora reached them. "Ma'am, what's happening?" "Gas leak. We're leaving. Stay behind me. Move fast. Don't stop." Nora grabbed the girl's arm, pulled her up. "Now!" Blake's 2 friends moved to block them. Nora didn't slow down. She hit the first one with a shoulder strike that lifted him off his feet. The second one reached for her. She caught his wrist, twisted, swept his leg. He hit the tile hard enough to crack it. The recruits stared. "Move!" Nora shouted. They moved. She pushed them toward the back exit, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all through the door into the hallway. Safe. For about 10 more seconds. Nora turned back. Blake was on his feet, phone in his hand, backing toward the main exit. "You just signed your death warrant," he said. "Get in line." The spark came from the industrial mixer. Just a small, motor-short, tiny blue flash that would mean nothing on any other day. Today, it meant everything. The gas ignited. Nora saw it happen in slow motion. The flash, the ripple of air, the wall of flame expanding outward. She dove backward through the exit as the blast wave hit. The concussion picked her up and threw her like a rag doll. She hit the hallway wall, felt ribs crack, felt the air punched from her lungs. Fire roared through the doorway behind her. Heat washed over her in a wave that made her skin feel like it was cooking. But she was alive. The explosion had gone exactly where she'd aimed it. The north wall had taken the brunt storage room, blown open concrete, cracked, but holding. The dining area was full of smoke and debris, but the structure stood. And the 6 recruits huddled against the far wall of the hallway, coughing, but breathing. Nora pushed herself up. Every muscle screamed. Her sleeves were burned away, arms exposed for the first time in 8 months. The tattoos showed clearly now. The EOD insignia, a bomb with lightning bolts. The hash marks running down her right forearm, so many they blurred together. 847 devices. 847 times she'd bet her life on her skills and won. And on her left forearm, 6 names in elegant script: Jensen, Torres, Kim, Patel, Rodriguez, Chen, her team, the ones who hadn't made it home. Jesus Christ. Nora looked up. Blake stood in the doorway, covered in soot, bleeding from a scalp wound, but alive. His eyes locked on her tattoos. His face went white. You're one of the 6. 5 now, Nora said quietly. Jensen didn't make it. The ghost of Kandahar. Blake's voice cracked. They said you were dead. They said all of you were. They lied. Funny how that works. Sirens wailed in the distance. Fire trucks, ambulances, MPs. Blake looked at the exit, calculating escape routes. Don't, Nora said. You run, I'll find you. That's what I do. I find things that explode and I make them safe. You're just another bomb waiting to go off. Blake ran anyway. Nora let him go. She wasn't going anywhere fast with cracked ribs. And besides, he wouldn't get far. Not with every MP on base about to flood the area. She turned to the 6 recruits. Everyone okay? The red-haired girl nodded. Yes, ma'am. But what are you? Right now, unemployed kitchen staff with a lot of explaining to do. Boots pounded down the hallway. Emergency crews, medics, and stand at attention. The command voice cut through everything. Nora's body obeyed before her brain registered who'd spoken. Spine straight, shoulders back, chin level. Colonel Mark Sloan stood 15 feet away, surrounded by MPs. Late 50s silver hair, face like granite that had seen too much war. He stared at Nora's exposed arms, at the tattoos, at the evidence of who she really was. Then his eyes met hers, and she saw recognition. Sergeant Nora Vale, he said quietly. EOD, Delta attached. Operation Copper Shield, Kandahar Province, 2019 through 2023. Yes, sir. I served with your CO. Captain Chen briefed me on your team before the raid that killed him. Sloan's voice dropped lower. He said if I ever met a woman with 847 marks and a list of dead friends on her arm, I should thank her, because his daughter was alive because of you. He gestured to the red-haired girl. She stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. My dad's Captain James Chen. He died in Kandahar 6 months ago. He wrote me a letter before the raid. He said if anything happened to him, I should find a woman named Nora Vale and tell her thank you. Thank you for saving his life 12 times before he ran out of luck. The words hit Nora harder than the blast had. She'd carried Chen's name on her arm for 6 months, carried the guilt of surviving when he hadn't. And now his daughter stood in front of her alive because Nora had been there. Your father was a good man, Nora managed. Best CO I ever served under. I know, the girl wiped her eyes. And you just saved my life, like you saved his. Sloan stepped closer. His voice hardened. Sergeant Vale, those 3 men, Blake Harrow and his associates, they're not SF candidates. They're foreign intelligence operatives. Likely Russian GRU or contracted mercenaries. We've been tracking them for 2 weeks. Why didn't you arrest them? We needed to know their target, now we do. He looked at the 6 recruits. These 6 are all children of veterans from Operation Copper Shield. The op that went bad. The op that killed half your team. Nora's blood went cold. They're here for revenge. No, they're here to erase witnesses. Your team discovered something in Kandahar. Something big enough that someone wants everyone connected to it dead, including the children of the operators who were there. What did we find? That's classified above my pay grade, but you're going to find out. Sloan pulled out his phone, made a call. Sir, I've got her. Yes, she's alive. I'll bring her in. He hung up and looked at Nora. You're coming with me. Medical check first, then debrief. And Sergeant, you're not kitchen staff anymore. As of right now, you're reactivated. Whatever you found in Kandahar, it's coming back to finish the job. Nora looked at the 6 recruits, at Chen's daughter, at the mess hall still smoking behind her. 8 months of hiding, 8 months of pretending she was nobody, 8 months of trying to forget. all gone in one explosion. "Understood, sir." She straightened despite her ribs screaming. "What are my orders? Survive. Protect these 6 until we figure out who wants them dead and why." Sloane's expression softened slightly. "And maybe teach some of these hotshot SF candidates what a real operator looks like." Nora almost smiled. Almost. "Yes, sir." As the medics moved in, as the MPs secured the scene, as Chen's daughter stood crying and thanking her, Nora looked down at her exposed arms, at the tattoos she'd hidden for so long, at the proof of who she'd been, who she was, who she'd always be. The ghost of Kandahar. And ghosts Nora knew were very hard to kill. The medical tent smelled like antiseptic and bad coffee. Nora sat on the examination table, while a medic wrapped her ribs, his hands gentle but efficient. Each breath felt like someone was driving a knife between her bones, but she'd had worse. Kandahar had been worse. Fallujah before that had been worse. This was just pain, and pain was temporary. "You're lucky," the medic said. "Cracked ribs, some bruising, minor burns on your forearms. Could have been a lot worse." "Story of my life," Nora muttered. Colonel Sloane stood near the tent entrance phone, pressed to his ear, voice low and urgent. Nora caught fragments of the conversation. Confirmed identity. 8 operatives neutralized. 6 targets secured. He hung up and turned to face her. "Blake Harrow is in custody. Real name Dmitry Volkov. Former Spetsnaz, discharged under suspicious circumstances in 2021. He's been working as a contractor for the past 3 years." "Contractor for who?" "That's the question." Sloane pulled up a chair, sat down heavily. "His 2 associates are dead. The explosion killed them both. But Volkov's talking. Says he was hired through a cutout, never met his actual employer. Payment in crypto instructions through encrypted channels. Very professional operation." Nora absorbed that. Professional meant organized. Organized meant funded. Funded meant someone with resources wanted Chen's daughter and the other 5 kids dead badly enough to hire foreign operatives and risk an international incident. "What did we find in Kandahar?" she asked. "I don't know. And that's the truth. Operation Copper Shield was Delta compartmentalized. Your team went in, half of you didn't come out, and the mission files were sealed immediately afterward. Above top secret classification. I'm a full bird colonel and I can't access them. Then who can? Whoever ordered them sealed in the first place." Sloane leaned forward. "But here's what I do know. 2 days after Copper Shield ended, 3 high-ranking officials in the Afghan government were arrested for corruption. 1 week later, a major arms trafficking network collapsed across 4 countries. And 1 month after that, someone started hunting down every operator who participated in that mission." Nora's chest tightened, and it wasn't from the broken ribs. "How many dead of the original 22 operators?" 14 confirmed KIA in the past 18 months. Car accidents, house fires, muggings gone wrong, all of them ruled accidental or random violence. His eyes hardened. "But nothing's random when it happens 14 times to people from the same operation." "My team, Captain Chen, as you know. Sergeant Torres died in a car accident in Texas 4 months ago. Sergeant Kim was killed in a home invasion in California 2 months after that. Sergeant Patel disappeared in Nevada, body never found. Sergeant Rodriguez was shot during a convenience store robbery in Arizona. She survived, but lost her leg. And Jensen, killed in the Kandahar raid. He's the only one who died during the actual operation." Nora closed her eyes. Her team, her people, hunted down one by one, while she'd been hiding in a kitchen serving eggs and pretending the past didn't exist. "Why didn't anyone connect the dots?" she asked quietly. Someone did. 6 months ago, NCIS opened an investigation. 3 weeks later, the lead investigator was killed in a hit and run. The case was closed, filed as conspiracy theory nonsense. Sloan stood up. But I knew Chen, served with him in Iraq before he went Delta. When I heard about his daughter enrolling here, I requested a transfer to Fort Liberty. Started digging on my own. Found out 5 other kids from Copper Shield operators were also stationed here or in training nearby. You set a trap. I put the pieces together in a way that anyone watching would notice. Made sure all 6 kids ended up in the same place at the same time. Then I waited to see who came for them. He looked at her with something like respect. I didn't expect to find you here. I thought you were dead like the others. I tried to be. Well, you failed, and now you're back in play whether you like it or not. The tent flap opened. An MP stepped inside young guy with sergeant stripes, face pale. Sir, we've got a situation. The 6 recruits are refusing to separate. They want to stay together, and they're demanding to speak with... He glanced at Nora. With the kitchen lady. Her name is Sergeant Vale, Sloan said coldly. Use it. Yes, sir. They're demanding to speak with Sergeant Vale. Nora slid off the examination table, ignoring the medic's protest. Her ribs screamed, but she pushed through it. Where are they? Barracks B, sir. Under MP guard. Let's go. The walk across the base took 5 minutes, long enough for Nora to notice how many soldiers were staring at her. Word had spread fast, the kitchen worker who'd stopped an explosion, who'd taken down 3 operators single-handed, who had tattoos that marked her as Delta Force. She could feel their eyes tracking her, hear their whispered conversations. She hated it. Anonymity had been her shield. Now that shield was gone. Barracks B was locked down tight. 4 MPs stood guard outside, weapons ready. Inside, the 6 recruits sat together on bunks, looking small and scared. Chen's daughter saw Nora first and stood up immediately. Ma'am, sit down. All of you. Nora pulled up a chair, straddled it backward. I'm going to tell you the truth, and you're not going to like it. Someone wants you dead. Not because of anything you did, but because of who your parents were. They were operators in a classified mission 18 months ago. Half of them are dead now. The other half are in hiding or don't know their targets yet. A boy with dark skin and his father's eyes spoke up. My dad's Sergeant Patel. He's missing. I know. I served with him. Is he dead? Nora wanted to lie. Wanted to give him hope. But these kids deserved the truth. Probably. I'm sorry. The boy's jaw tightened, but he didn't cry. Military family. He knew how this worked. Another recruit, pale kid with red hair and a southern accent, raised his hand like he was still in school. Ma'am, why would anyone want to kill us? We're nobody. We're just kids. Your leverage, your revenge, your loose ends. Nora looked at each of them in turn. Your parents discovered something someone wants buried. Killing them wasn't enough. They want the bloodlines erased. No witnesses. No one left to ask questions. That's insane, Chen's daughter whispered. That's reality. And here's what happens next. You're going into protective custody. Separate locations, new identities, armed guards until we figure out who's running this operation and shut it down. No. 6 voices. 1 word. Unified. Nora blinked. Excuse me. Chen's daughter stood up again. We're not splitting up. We're not hiding. Our parents died fighting. We're not going to dishonor them by running away. You're 17 years old. You don't get a vote. I'm 18 as of last week, legal adult, and I'm not running. She looked at the others. None of us are. The other 5 nodded. Nora felt a headache forming behind her eyes. You have no training, no weapons, no tactical experience. You'd be dead in 48 hours. Then train us, Patel's son said. You're EOD, you're Delta, you know how to fight. Teach us. That's not how it works. Training takes months, years. We don't have years. You said it yourself, someone's hunting us. So we either learn fast or we die. The kid's voice was steady. No tremor, no fear. His father's son. I'd rather die fighting than hiding. Nora looked at Sloan. He shrugged. Don't look at me. They're adults. Technically, they can refuse protective custody. This is a bad idea. Probably. But they're right about one thing: splitting them up makes them easier targets. 6 separate locations, 6 separate security details. That's a lot of exposure. Sloan crossed his arms. Keep them together. Keep them here, where we control the environment, and maybe we use them as bait to draw out whoever's behind this. You want to use kids as bait? I want to end this before more people die, including these kids. His expression softened. And they'll have you, the ghost of Kandahar. If anyone can keep them alive, it's you. Nora wanted to argue, wanted to walk away, wanted to disappear back into anonymity and let someone else handle this. But she looked at Chen's daughter and saw her CO's eyes staring back at her, saw Torres's confidence in Patel's son, saw Kim's determination in another recruit's stance. Her team wasn't dead. Not entirely. They lived on in these kids. Fine, she said quietly. But we do this my way. No heroics. No stupid risks. You listen to every word I say and you do exactly what I tell you. Understood? Yes, ma'am, they chorused. First rule, stop calling me ma'am. Makes me feel old. Call me Vale. Yes, ma'am, Vale. Nora almost smiled. Almost. Second rule, you're not soldiers, not yet. You're recruits who just got a crash course in why the world is dangerous. That doesn't make you operators. It makes you targets who know they're targets. What's the third rule? Chen's daughter asked. Trust no one except each other and me. Whoever's running this operation has resources, intel, and reach. They got operatives onto this base. They sabotaged a kitchen. They've been killing trained soldiers for 18 months. That means they have instant help. Sloan's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his face went gray. We've got a problem. Blake Volkov, he's dead. What? He was in custody. He was being transported to the detention facility. Convoy was hit 2 miles outside the base. Professional ambush. 3 MPs, dead prisoner vehicle destroyed. No survivors. Nora felt ice slide down her spine. They killed him to keep him quiet. Which means someone on this base knew he was in custody, knew the transport route and called it in. Sloan looked at the MPs guarding the barracks. We've got a leak. More than a leak. We've got an active enemy asset operating inside Fort Liberty. Nora stood up, ignoring her ribs. We need to move these kids. Now. Somewhere secure, somewhere off book. Where? Nora thought fast. Official safe houses were compromised. If someone had access to transport schedules, they had access to everything. Military facilities were out. Hotels were too exposed. They needed somewhere isolated, defensible, and unknown to military databases. I know a place, she said. 2 hours north. Old hunting cabin my grandfather left me. Off-grid, no electronic trail, only accessible by one road. We can defend it if we have to. That's not protocol. Protocol got 14 operators killed. I'm done with protocol. She turned to the 6 recruits. Pack light. Essentials only. We leave in 10 minutes. Chen's daughter raised her hand. Vale, we don't have weapons. I'll handle that. Move. They moved. Sloan followed Nora outside, lowering his voice. This is a bad idea. Taking them off base away from support. Support didn't save Torres, didn't save Kim, didn't save any of them. Nora's voice was hard. These kids stay here, they die. I take them off base, at least we have a chance. And if you're wrong, if whoever's after them tracks you down, then I do what I do best. I turn them into a bomb they don't see coming until it's too late. She met his eyes. Trust me, Colonel. This is what I was trained for. Sloan studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. I'll authorize a weapons requisition. Standard loadout, 6 M4s, sidearms ammunition. And I'm sending someone with you. Someone I trust. Who? Staff Sergeant Maria Cortez. The woman from your kitchen crew. She's not just a cook, she's former MP, served 2 tours in Afghanistan. She left active duty after her husband was killed but stayed on as a contractor. I vetted her personally. Nora remembered Maria's efficiency in the kitchen, the way she'd reacted instantly to orders during the evacuation. She knew someone on base was wrong. I asked her to keep an eye on things. She flagged Blake and his team 3 days before the attack. Why didn't you tell me? Because 8 months ago, Nora Vale was a ghost who wanted to stay dead. I had no authority to drag you back into this. Sloane's expression softened. But now you're here. And those kids need you. Maria appeared 15 minutes later, carrying 2 duffel bags and looking grimmer than Nora had ever seen her. Heard you're taking a field trip. I'm driving. You don't have to do this. My husband died in Kandahar. Different operation, same year as yours. If there's a chance to nail whoever's behind this, I'm in. Maria's eyes were hard. Besides, someone needs to make sure these kids eat actual food. You'll probably just feed them MREs and tactical advice. Despite everything, Nora felt something warm in her chest. Not quite hope, but close. Let's move. They loaded into 2 vehicles, a civilian SUV and a beat-up pickup truck that Maria had somehow acquired in 20 minutes. The 6 recruits crammed into the SUV with Maria driving. Nora took the truck weapons secured in the bed under a tarp. No military vehicles, no identifying marks, just 2 trucks heading north on a Saturday afternoon like they were going camping. They were 10 miles outside Fort Liberty when Nora's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then instinct made her pick up. Sergeant Vale. The voice was male, smooth, with an accent she couldn't place. Or should I call you the ghost? Nora's blood went cold. Who is this? Someone who's been looking for you for a very long time. We thought you were dead. Imagine our surprise when you surfaced today. You killed my team. We eliminated loose ends, nothing personal. But you and those 6 children represent unfinished business. A pause. I'm going to give you one chance. Pull over. Leave the children on the side of the road. Walk away. We'll let you live. Go to hell. Predictable. Which is why we're already tracking you. 3 vehicles currently 40 miles south of your location moving to intercept. Professional operators. Better than Volkov's team. Better than you. Nora's mind raced. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your rearview mirror in approximately 90 seconds. You'll see a black sedan. That's the advanced scout. The kill team is behind them. The line went dead. Nora floored the accelerator, pulled alongside Maria's SUV, rolled down her window. We've got Company 3 vehicles 40 miles back, moving to intercept. Maria's face went white. Where? I don't know, but we're not making it to the cabin. We need to go to ground, now. There's an old industrial park 5 miles ahead. Been abandoned for years. We can lose them there. Do it. They took the next exit, tires squealing. Behind them, far in the distance, Nora saw it, a black sedan moving fast, weaving through traffic. The voice on the phone hadn't been bluffing. And the ghost of Kandahar was about to find out if 8 months of serving eggs had made her soft. The industrial park looked like the kind of place where hope went to die. Crumbling warehouses stretched across 20 acres, windows, shattered walls covered in graffiti and rust. Maria's SUV skidded through the main gate, Nora's truck right behind her. They drove deep into the complex, weaving between buildings, until they found what Nora was looking for, a warehouse with 3 exits and a clear sight line in all directions. Out! Everyone out! Nora jumped from the truck, already moving to the weapons. She tossed M4s to Maria, then started distributing them to the recruits. Chen's daughter caught hers with practiced ease. "You know how to use this?" Nora asked. "My dad taught me. Started when I was 12. "Good. Safety off means you're ready to kill. Safety on means you're already dead. Which one are you?" The girl flicked the safety off without hesitation. "Ready." "That's Chen's daughter, all right." Nora turned to the others. "Anyone here who hasn't fired a rifle before?" Patel's son raised his hand. So did 2 others. "Perfect. Crash course. This is the trigger. This is the magazine. This is how you don't shoot yourself in the foot. Point at bad guys, squeeze, don't pull. Pray you hit something." Nora checked her watch. "You've got 3 minutes to figure out the rest because that's how long until company arrives." Maria was already positioning the vehicles to create a barrier at the main entrance. Smart woman. The SUV would absorb small arms fire, and the truck bed full of ammunition gave them a fallback position if things went completely sideways. "Vale," Maria called out. "If they're professional, they won't come through the front door. They'll split up, hit us from multiple angles." "I know, which is why we're not staying here." Nora pointed to a catwalk running along the warehouse's 2nd level. "High ground, classic ambush position. They'll expect us on the ground floor bunched up and scared. We'll be above them with clear fields of fire." "What about the kids who can't shoot?" "There are eyes. Each one watches a different approach. First sign of movement they signal. No heroics, just information." Nora looked at Chen's daughter. "You're with me on the catwalk. Maria, take Patel's son and cover the east entrance. The rest of you spread out up there and stay low." They moved fast. 60 seconds to climb the rusted stairs. 90 seconds to get into position. Nora's ribs screamed with every movement, but adrenaline was a hell of a painkiller. 2 minutes and 40 seconds after they'd entered the warehouse, Nora heard it. Vehicle engines. Multiple. Coming from different directions. "Contact," one of the recruits whispered. "Black sedan, north entrance." "2 more vehicles," another reported. "Gray van and a pickup truck, east and west." Coordinated. Professional. They'd boxed the warehouse in under 3 minutes. Whoever was running this operation had done their homework. Nora watched through a gap in the metal railing as 6 operators emerged from the vehicles. All male, all moving with military precision. They wore civilian clothes, but carried themselves like soldiers. 2 had long rifles. 4 had submachine guns. All had body armor under their jackets. They didn't rush in. They took their time, hand signals coordinating their approach. 2 moved to flank the building, while the other 4 stacked up at the main entrance. Smart. Methodical. Exactly how Nora would do it, which meant they were about to walk into a trap. The 4 operators breached the main entrance in textbook fashion flashbang, first, then immediate entry fanning out to cover sectors. They swept the ground floor in 30 seconds, found nothing, and that's when their team leader made his first mistake. He looked up. Nora was already squeezing the trigger. The shot caught him center mass, right above his body armor. He dropped like someone had cut his strings. The warehouse erupted in chaos. The other 3 operators scattered, returning fire wildly. Bullets sparked off metal railings and punched through rusted walls. Chen's daughter fired twice controlled bursts, just like her father had taught her. One of the operators went down, clutching his leg. "Reloading!" Maria's voice from across the catwalk. "To covering!" Nora pivoted, laid down, suppressing fire. The two operators who'd been flanking the building burst through the east entrance, and Maria put 3 rounds into the first one before he'd taken 2 steps. The second one dove behind the truck, returning fire. That's when Patel's son did something stupid and brave. He grabbed a piece of debris from the catwalk and hurled it toward the west entrance. The clatter made the operator behind the truck spin toward the sound. Maria dropped him with a single shot. 5 down. 1 left. Too easy. Way too easy. Nora's combat instincts screamed warning half a second before the windows shattered. The 6th operator, the one she'd lost track of, came through the 2nd-story window in a controlled rappel submachine gun already firing. Rounds stitched across the catwalk. One of the recruits screamed. Metal sparked. Concrete dust filled the air. Nora moved on pure muscle memory. She dropped her rifle, drew her sidearm, and put 4 rounds into the repelling operator before he hit the ground. He crashed onto the warehouse floor and didn't move. Silence. Just breathing and the ringing aftermath of gunfire. "Sound off," Nora called out. "Clear." "Maria." "I'm good. Chen's daughter." "Okay here." "Patel's son." 4 more voices checked in, then a weak response from the far end of the catwalk. "I'm hit." Nora ran. The recruit, the kid with the southern accent, sat propped against the wall, hand pressed to his shoulder. Blood seeped between his fingers, but he was conscious and lucid. Through and through. Painful, but survivable. "You'll live," Nora said, already stripping his shirt to pack the wound. "Breathe through it. You're doing fine." "Did we win?" the kid asked through gritted teeth. "We survived. That's close enough." She tied off the makeshift bandage. "Can you walk?" "Yes, ma'am, Vale." "Then let's move. They'll have backup coming, and I don't want to be here when they arrive." They descended the catwalk and regrouped at ground level. Nora did a quick tactical assessment of the 6 dead operators. Russian equipment, Chinese body armor, American weapons. A true international effort. Maria was checking their phones. "Encrypted. Military grade. I can't crack these." "Don't need to." Nora pulled out her own phone, took photos of each operator's face. "Colonel Sloan will run them through facial recognition. Maybe we get lucky and find out who's writing the checks." "Vale." Chen's daughter stood over one of the bodies, face pale. "This one's still alive." Nora crossed to the team leader. He'd been hit in the chest, but his armor had caught most of it. Broken ribs, probably maybe a punctured lung, but alive. His eyes tracked her as she knelt beside him. "You're the ghost," he wheezed. Blood flecked his lips. "They said you were good. Didn't say you were this good. Who hired you?" "Go to hell." "You're already dying. Might as well tell me why." He laughed, which turned into a coughing fit. "You think I know I'm 3 layers removed from the primary. All I got was coordinates, photos, and payment in crypto. That's how these things work. But you know something. Otherwise you wouldn't have taken the contract." His eyes flickered. "All I know is the price. $500,000 per target. 6 targets. 3 million total." Another bloody cough. "That kind of money, someone's real motivated to see you all dead." "Why? What did we find in Kandahar?" "Don't know. Don't care." His breathing was getting shallower. "But I'll tell you this, whoever's bankrolling this operation has reach. Government level. Corporate level. Maybe both. They've got people everywhere. Even on your precious Fort Liberty." "Names. Give me names." "Don't have names. Just a call sign. Architect. That's who coordinates everything." His eyes started to lose focus. "You want to live? Stop running. Find the architect. Kill them before they kill you." He stopped breathing. Nora stood up slowly. $3 million. That was professional hitman money. That was international conspiracy money. That was the kind of budget that came from people with serious power and serious motivation to keep secrets buried. "We need to go," Maria said quietly. "Police will respond to gunfire reports, maybe 15 minutes before they arrive." "Then we've got 14 minutes to disappear." Nora turned to the recruits. "Strip the bodies of anything useful: weapons, ammunition, phones. Leave everything else. Move fast." They worked quickly. Nora was impressed these kids had just survived their first real firefight, and they weren't falling apart. Scared, yes. Traumatized, probably. But functional. That counted for a lot. 7 minutes later, they were back in the vehicles, heading north on back roads. The wounded kid, his name was Danny Nora, sat in the back of the SUV, with Chen's daughter, applying pressure to his shoulder wound. The bleeding had slowed, but he needed proper medical attention soon, which created a problem. Hospitals asked questions. Questions led to police reports. Police reports meant exposure. And exposure meant whoever was running this operation would know exactly where they were. Nora's phone rang. Colonel Sloan. "Tell me you're alive," he said without preamble. "Alive. 6 hostiles down. 1 recruit wounded non-critical. We're mobile and heading to secondary location." "Good. Because I've got bad news. Fort Liberty is locked down. Someone called in a terrorism threat 30 minutes ago. Claimed you kidnapped 6 recruits and are planning an attack. Every MP on base is looking for you. Your face is on every checkpoint." Nora's stomach dropped. "They're framing me." "Beautifully. You've got no official authorization for those weapons. No orders to leave base. No paper trail. From outside perspective, you're a rogue operator who went off the reservation with 6 kids and a stolen arsenal." Sloane's voice was grim. "I can't protect you from this. If you come back, you'll be arrested immediately." "What about you? Are you compromised?" "Not yet, but I'm being watched. My phone's probably tapped. This might be the last time we can communicate directly." A pause. "There's someone you need to find. Rodriguez. Sergeant Elena Rodriguez from your old team. She survived the hit in Arizona but went underground after. Last I heard she was in Nevada. If anyone knows what your team found in Kandahar, it's her." "Do you have a location?" "Nothing concrete, but she has family in Carson City. Start there." Sloane's voice softened. "Nora, whoever's behind this, has unlimited resources and inside access. They're not going to stop. You need to go on offense." "I know, that's the plan. One more thing. The 6 operators you killed, I ran their faces through Interpol. 2 are former French Foreign Legion. 1's ex-British SAS. 3 are Russian GRU. This is an international operation with serious backing." The dying one mentioned a call sign. "Architect. Mean anything to you?" Sloane was quiet for a long moment. "No, but I'll dig. Be careful, Nora. You're fighting shadows. Shadows burn just like everything else." She hung up and looked at Maria. "Change of plans. We're going to Nevada. That's a 2-day drive. Then we better get started." They drove through the night. Nora took the first shift behind the wheel. Maria sleeping in the passenger seat, the 6 recruits crammed into the back. Danny had passed out from pain and exhaustion, his shoulder bandaged properly with supplies they'd picked up at a gas station outside Richmond. Around midnight, Chen's daughter climbed into the front seat. "Can't sleep. Adrenaline crash will hit you in a few hours. Sleep then. My dad used to say that. After firefights, he'd tell us the first rule of combat is sleep when you can, because you never know when you'll get another chance." Nora glanced at her. "He told you about firefights? Not details, just principles. He knew his job was dangerous, wanted to make sure I understood what it meant to be a soldier." She looked out at the dark highway. Did he die well? The question hung in the air. Nora could lie. could tell her Chen died heroically, painlessly, instantly. But this girl deserved the truth. He died saving my life. Taliban had us pinned down in a compound. We were out of ammunition, out of options. Your father ran through enemy fire to bring us more magazines. Took 3 rounds doing it. Died before the medevac arrived. Nora's throat tightened. Last thing he said was, "Tell my daughter I kept my promise." I didn't know what he meant. He promised me he'd always put his team first. That if he had to choose between coming home and keeping his people alive, he'd choose his people every time. Tears streaked down her face. I told him I understood. That I'd be proud of him no matter what. He kept his promise. And you should be proud. I am. But I'm also angry. Her voice hardened. Someone killed my father for doing his job. Someone's trying to kill me for being his daughter. That's not justice. That's murder. Yes, it is. So what are we going to do about it? Nora looked at this 18-year-old girl with her father's eyes and her father's determination. We're going to find out who's responsible. And then we're going to make them pay. Good. Chen's daughter settled back in her seat. Because I didn't survive today, just to hide for the rest of my life. Whatever my dad found in Kandahar, whatever got him killed, I'm going to finish it. That's a dangerous road. I know, but it's my road now, just like it's yours. She looked at Nora. The tattoos on your arm, the names, are you carrying them, or are they carrying you? The question hit harder than any bullet. Nora had asked herself the same thing for 18 months. Every time she looked at those names, she felt the weight of survival guilt, the weight of being the one who lived when they didn't. I don't know, she admitted. Both, maybe. Then maybe it's time to let them rest. Honor them by finishing what they started, not by carrying them like chains. Nora almost smiled. Your father raised you right. He raised me to survive. You're teaching me how to fight. That's a pretty good combination. They drove in comfortable silence after that. Somewhere around 3 in the morning, they stopped at a rest area outside St. Louis. Nora walked the perimeter while Maria stayed with the vehicles and kids. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that made her neck itch. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. She answered. What do you want? To congratulate you. Same smooth voice from before. 6 operators dead. Very impressive. We underestimated you. You'll keep underestimating me until you're dead. That's how this ends. Perhaps. Or perhaps you'll realize you're fighting a war you can't win. We have resources. We have time. We have people in places you can't imagine. You have 6 traumatized children and a rogue contractor who's probably going to turn on you the moment things get hard. Maria's solid. Is she? We've been watching her for weeks. Did you know her husband's death wasn't an accident? Did you know we killed him specifically to motivate her to go after the people responsible? Did you know she's been feeding information to a private intelligence firm that's actually a front for the people hunting you? Nora's blood ran cold. You're lying. Ask her about Phoenix Solutions. Ask her how much they're paying her to track your movements. Ask her why she was so eager to come with you today. The voice took on a mocking tone. Or don't. Keep trusting her. See how that works out when she puts a bullet in your head tonight. The line went dead. Nora stood in the darkness of the rest area parking lot, mind racing. Maria had been too helpful, too prepared, too convenient. But that could just be professionalism, or it could be betrayal. She thought about the ambush at the industrial park, how the operators had known exactly where they were, How they'd coordinated so quickly. What if someone had called ahead? What if Maria had made a phone call while Nora wasn't watching No? That was paranoia talking. The voice on the phone was trying to divide them. Classic psyops. Make the target doubt their allies, isolate them, pick them off. But what if it wasn't paranoia? What if it was truth? Nora walked back to the vehicles. Maria was leaning against the SUV smoking a cigarette. She looked up as Nora approached. Everything okay? Tell me about Phoenix Solutions. Maria went very still. The cigarette froze halfway to her lips. Where did you hear that name? Answer the question. It's a private intelligence firm. They approached me 6 months ago after my husband died, said they were investigating corruption in military contracting, said they thought his death was connected. Maria took a long drag. They offered me money to report anything suspicious at Fort Liberty. I took it. What did you report? Nothing that wasn't already public knowledge. Troop movements, training schedules. When Blake and his team showed up, I flagged them immediately, told Phoenix. They told me to watch and wait. Did you tell them about today? About where we were going? No. I haven't contacted them since the explosion. Maria met her eyes. But you don't believe me, do you? Someone called you. Told you I'm compromised. Tried to make you doubt me. Are you? If I was working for them, you'd already be dead. I had a dozen chances today to put you down. Didn't take any of them. She crushed out the cigarette. But I get it. Trust no one, right? That's the lesson here. Nora studied her face. Maria looked tired, angry, but honest. Then again, good liars always did. Phoenix Solutions is a front, Nora said. They're part of whoever's running this operation, which means you've been feeding intelligence directly to the people hunting us. Maria's face went white. Oh God, my husband, they killed him to recruit me. They've been using me this whole time. Maybe. Or maybe you're playing me right now. Maybe this whole conversation is theater. How do I prove I'm not? You don't. Not yet. Nora stepped closer. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me your phone. All of them, if you have multiples. You're going to give me every way Phoenix Solutions has to contact you. And you're going to stay in my sight every minute until we reach Nevada. If you make one move, I don't like I'll put you down. Are we clear? Maria handed over 2 phones without hesitation. Crystal clear. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought I was helping. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Welcome to the express lane. They got back on the road 20 minutes later. Nora drove. Maria sat in the back with the kids as far from Nora as possible. The atmosphere in the vehicles had shifted from camaraderie to suspicion, which was exactly what the architect wanted. Nora gripped the steering wheel and watched the highway stretch ahead of her into darkness. Somewhere out there, Rodriguez was hiding. Somewhere out there, the architect was watching. And somewhere out there, the truth about Kandahar waited to be uncovered. She just had to survive long enough to find it. Carson City appeared through the morning haze like a mirage. Nora had been driving for 18 hours straight, switching off with Chen's daughter when exhaustion made her hands shake on the wheel. Maria hadn't slept. She sat in the back with the recruits quiet and watchful, knowing she was under surveillance. They pulled into a truck stop on the edge of town. Nora bought coffee and burner phones, while Maria took the kids to clean up in the restrooms. When they regrouped at the vehicles, Danny's shoulder looked worse, the bandage was soaked through, and fever had set in overnight. He needs a hospital, Chen's daughter said. Hospital means questions. Questions mean exposure. He's got an infection. Another 12 hours and it'll be sepsis. Nora looked at Danny. The kid was pale, sweating, barely conscious. She'd seen infected wounds before. Chen's daughter was right. They had maybe half a day before this turned critical. "There's a veterinary clinic 2 miles from Rodriguez's last known address," Maria said quietly. She'd been studying maps on one of the confiscated phones. "My cousin's a vet tech. If I call in a favor, no calls, no favors, no trail." Nora checked her watch. "We find Rodriguez first. She'll know someone who can handle this quietly. And if we don't find her, then we improvise." Rodriguez's family lived in a neighborhood that had seen better decades. Small houses with chain-link fences, cars on blocks in driveways, the kind of place where people minded their own business because they expected the same courtesy. Nora parked 3 blocks away and approached on foot, leaving Maria with the kids and strict orders to drive away if anyone approached. The house was a single-story ranch with peeling paint and bars on the windows. Nora knocked. No answer. Knocked again. The door opened a crack, held by a chain lock. A woman's face appeared, late 40s, tired eyes suspicious. "Whatever you're selling, we don't want it." "I'm looking for Elena Rodriguez." The woman's expression hardened. "Don't know anyone by that name." "I served with her. Kandahar 2019, Operation Copper Shield. My name is Nora Vale." The door slammed shut. Nora heard voices inside, angry and urgent. She waited. 30 seconds later, the door opened fully. A different woman stood there, younger, maybe 35, with dark hair pulled back and a prosthetic leg visible below her shorts. Rodriguez. "You've got some nerve showing up here," Rodriguez said. Her hand rested on something behind the door frame. Weapon, probably. "I've spent 18 months staying invisible, and you just drove up to my family's house in broad daylight." "We don't have time for subtlety. Someone's hunting the children of our team. 6 kids all targeted for elimination. I've got them with me right now, and we need your help." Rodriguez's face went pale. "Jesus Christ. Come inside. Now." The house was small, but clean. Rodriguez's mother, the woman who'd answered the door, locked it behind them and pulled curtains across the windows. Rodriguez limped to the kitchen table, sat down heavily. "Tell me everything." Nora did. The explosion at Fort Liberty, the ambush at the industrial park, the calls from the architect, Maria's potential compromise, Danny's infected wound. By the time she finished, Rodriguez looked 10 years older. "This is worse than I thought," Rodriguez said quietly. "I knew they were hunting survivors, but targeting the kids. That's scorched earth. That's eliminating bloodlines. What did we find in Kandahar? What's worth all this?" Rodriguez stood up, paced to the window, looked out at the street. "You remember the mission parameters? We were supposed to secure a compound, extract intelligence on Taliban weapons trafficking. Standard raid." "I remember. We went in, found the compound abandoned except for one locked room." "That room." Rodriguez turned back. "That's where everything went wrong. Chen breached it, and inside we found servers, high-end computer equipment in the middle of nowhere Afghanistan, not Taliban tech. This was corporate-grade hardware." Nora's memory clicked into focus. She'd been outside pulling perimeter security when Chen called for her. She'd entered that room and seen cables, hard drives, screens displaying financial data in multiple languages. "We thought it was terrorist financing," Nora said. "That's what we reported. But before the extraction team arrived, I pulled one of the hard drives. Against protocol, but something felt wrong. The data on those servers wasn't terrorist financing. It was arms deals. Billions of dollars changing hands between defense contractors, foreign governments, and private military companies. The kind of deals that violate every international treaty on the books. You kept the hard drive. I buried it, literally, in the compound courtyard, marked the GPS coordinates. Figured if anyone came asking questions, I'd have leverage." Rodriguez's jaw tightened. 3 weeks after we got back, the compound was hit by an airstrike. leveled completely. Nothing left but a crater. That's when I knew someone wanted that evidence destroyed, and they had the authority to call in military strikes to do it. Who's on the files? I never accessed them. The encryption was military grade beyond my skill set, but I photographed a few file names before burying it. She pulled out a weathered notebook from a drawer, flipped pages. Here, Phoenix Protocol, Architect Ledger, Copper Shield Insurance. Nora felt ice slide down her spine. Phoenix. That's the intelligence firm that recruited Maria. Which means they're not just covering their tracks. They're actively hunting anyone who might expose them. Rodriguez closed the notebook. The architect isn't a person. It's the operation codename. Phoenix Protocol is the cleanup operation, eliminate witnesses, destroy evidence, tie up loose ends. We're the loose ends. And Copper Shield Insurance. Insurance implies blackmail material. Leverage. Maybe someone in our team had dirt on Phoenix and was using it for protection. Rodriguez met her eyes. Chen was acting strange the last few weeks before he died. Paranoid, kept saying he'd made arrangements that if anything happened to him, the truth would come out. Chen's daughter. The girl was 18, just reached legal adulthood. What if Chen had left her something? What if she was carrying her father's insurance without even knowing it? I need to make a call, Nora said. She stepped outside, used one of the burner phones to call a number she'd memorized years ago. 3 rings, then a familiar voice. This is a secure line. Identify yourself. Cipher Delta 7. Authorization code Ghostwalker. A pause. Nora Vale. You're supposed to be dead. When people keep saying that. I need data recovery and decryption. Military grade. Fast and quiet. What's the situation? Operation Copper Shield. Files that got 14 operators killed. I need to know what's on them before the people responsible finish the job. Another pause. That operation's flagged at the highest level. Accessing files means tripping alarms. Then trip them. I'm already burning bright, might as well make it count. Give me a target. Nora looked back at the house. I'll send you encrypted files within 24 hours. How fast can you crack them? If it's what you say it is, 48 hours. Maybe less. I'll take it. Watch your back. People connected to this have a habit of dying. Same to you, Ghost. She hung up and went back inside. Rodriguez was bandaging Danny's shoulder with proper medical supplies. Someone had made a quiet run to a pharmacy. The kid was conscious again, sipping water. He'll live, Rodriguez said. But he needs antibiotics. Real ones, not the fish antibiotics you can buy online. I've got a contact former Army medic runs a clinic off the books. She owes me. Can we trust her? As much as we can trust anyone right now. Rodriguez looked at Maria, who sat apart from the group. Speaking of trust, you really think she's compromised? I think Phoenix Solutions recruited her by killing her husband. I think they've been using her as an unwitting asset for months. Whether she's still unwitting is the question. Maria stood up. I can hear you, and I'm done being talked about like I'm not here. You want proof I'm not working against you, fine. Let me prove it. How? Phoenix gave me an emergency contact number, said if I ever felt my life was in danger I should call and they'd extract me. I never used it because I thought they were the good guys. Her voice was bitter. Let me call now. Set up a meeting. You follow me. See who shows up. If they're dirty, you'll have confirmation. If they're not, well, then maybe I'm not the traitor here. It was a terrible idea. Too many variables, too many ways it could go wrong. But Nora needed confirmation, and Maria was offering the fastest path to get it. Make the call, Nora said. Tell them you have information about my location. Tell them you're ready to come in. Set the meet for tonight, public location. Maria pulled out the confiscated phone, the one Nora had taken from her at the rest stop. She dialed from memory. This is Asset 17. I need extraction and debriefing. Yes, I have the target's location. Yes, I can deliver. Tonight, 10 p.m., the Silver State Diner on Carson Street. Come alone, or I burn everything and disappear." She listened for a moment. Understood. She hung up and looked at Nora. "They're sending someone senior, a handler named Graves. If he shows up, you'll have your confirmation about Phoenix. And if it's a trap, then I'll be the one who walked into it, not you." They spent the afternoon preparing. Rodriguez had an apartment across from the diner, perfect overwatch position. Nora set up there with Chen's daughter, who'd proven to be the best shot among the recruits. Maria would go in, wired, with a concealed microphone. The other recruits stayed at Rodriguez's family house, with her mother standing guard. At 9:30, Nora watched through a window as Maria crossed the street and entered the diner. She took a corner booth with clear sight lines to all entrances, ordered coffee, waited. "What if she really is working for them?" Chen's daughter asked. "Then we find out tonight and we adjust." "You'd kill her." Nora didn't answer immediately. She'd killed before in combat and defense when there was no other choice. But Maria, that felt different, more personal, more like execution than combat. "If she's responsible for putting you and the others in danger, yes, I'd kill her." Nora checked her watch. "But I don't think she is. Phoenix played her just like they played all of us, used her grief to turn her into an asset." At 9:55, a black SUV pulled up outside the diner. 2 men got out. The first was obvious security muscled alert, wearing an earpiece. The second was older, maybe 60, silver hair, expensive suit. He moved like someone used to authority. "That's Graves," Rodriguez's voice came through the radio. She was positioned on the roof with a rifle. "Former CIA, ran black ops in Iraq and Afghanistan, retired 5 years ago, and went private sector. Phoenix Solutions, that's the public face. Real money comes from defense contracts and private military work. He's connected to half the major players in the military-industrial complex." Nora watched as Graves entered the diner, dismissed his security to wait outside, and slid into the booth across from Maria. Through the concealed microphone, Nora heard every word. "Asset 17. You've had quite the adventure." Graves's voice was smooth, cultured. "Tell me about Nora Vale." "She's alive. Moving with 6 recruits, children of the Copper Shield operators. She killed 6 of your contractors at an industrial park outside Richmond." "We know. Expensive loss. Where is she now?" "Carson City, looking for Elena Rodriguez. She doesn't know I've maintained contact with you." "Good. That makes you valuable." A pause. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to lead Vale to Rodriguez. You're going to gain her complete trust. And when the moment is right, you're going to eliminate both of them and any witnesses. Can you do that?" Through the scope, Nora saw Maria's face go pale, saw her hands tremble around the coffee cup. This was the moment. Either Maria was acting playing the horrified asset, or this was real betrayal laid bare. "You want me to kill them?" Maria's voice cracked. "You said Phoenix was about exposing corruption, about justice. Phoenix is about maintaining order. Vale and Rodriguez have information that threatens that order. The children are unfortunate collateral but necessary. Bloodlines must be eliminated. You're talking about murdering kids. I'm talking about protecting national security. Those children are leverage points, potential whistleblowers, future liabilities. Better to cut losses now than deal with exposure later." Graves leaned forward. "You've already helped us track Vale this far. Don't develop a conscience now. And if I refuse, then you become a liability too. Your family in San Diego, mother, 2 sisters, 3 nephews. It would be unfortunate if accidents started happening." Maria's face went from pale to white. "You're threatening my family." "I'm explaining reality. You work for us now. You've always worked for us from the moment we eliminated your husband and recruited you. His death wasn't random. It was incentive." Graves smiled. "Now, are you going to be a good asset, or do I need to make another phone call tonight?" Maria stood up slowly. Her hand moved to her jacket. Nora's breath caught. Was she pulling a weapon? Was she going to try to kill Graves right here? But Maria didn't draw. She just stood there shaking with rage and terror. "I need time to think," she said. "You have 6 hours. Call me with Vale's exact location by dawn, or your family starts dying." Graves dropped a business card on the table. "Don't disappoint me, Maria. You're already complicit. Might as well see it through." He stood and walked out. His security fell in behind him. The SUV drove away. Nora watched Maria collapse back into the booth, head in her hands. Through the microphone, she heard quiet sobbing. "I'm sorry," Maria whispered. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know." Nora left the overwatch position and crossed the street, entered the diner, slid into the booth across from Maria, who looked up with red eyes. "You heard?" Maria asked. "Every word. So now you know. I'm the reason they found you. I'm the reason 6 contractors showed up at that industrial park. I've been feeding them information since the beginning, and I didn't even know it." Her voice broke. "My husband died because they wanted to recruit me, and I helped them hunt you because I thought I was getting justice." "You didn't know," Nora said quietly. "That doesn't make it better. It makes it worse. I was stupid enough to believe them." Maria wiped her eyes. "He's going to kill my family, my mother, my sisters, my nephews, unless I give him you." "Then we need to move faster than he expects." "What? Graves thinks he has leverage, thinks you'll roll over to protect your family, which means he's not expecting you to go on offense." Nora pulled out her phone. "Rodriguez, you still on the roof?" "Copy," Rodriguez's voice crackled through. "Can you track that SUV?" "Already on it. They're heading west toward a private airfield outside of town. Looks like Graves is leaving. Can we get there first? If we leave now, maybe. It'll be close." Nora looked at Maria. "Your family. Where in San Diego?" "North Park, my mom's house. Call them. Tell them to pack 1 bag each and disappear for 72 hours. Hotels, friends, anywhere but home. Don't tell them why, just get them moving." "He'll know I warned them." "Good. Let him know. Let him know you've chosen sides." Nora stood up. "Because we're about to hit Phoenix so hard they won't have time to think about revenge. We're going to grab Graves, extract everything he knows, and dismantle this operation before dawn." "That's insane. Probably, but it's better than waiting for them to kill us one by one." Nora extended her hand. "You're not an asset anymore, Maria. You're an operator. Are you in?" Maria looked at the offered hand, looked at her phone, looked at the business card Graves had left. Then she stood up and shook Nora's hand. "I'm in. Let's burn Phoenix to the ground." They moved fast. Rodriguez picked them up in a stolen pickup truck. She'd been busy while Nora was at the diner. Chen's daughter rode shotgun rifle ready. Nora and Maria crammed into the back with gear Rodriguez had accumulated during her months in hiding. "Airfield's 15 minutes out," Rodriguez said, driving fast, but not recklessly. "Private facility, minimal security. 2 guards at the gate, maybe 1 or 2 more inside. Graves has a plane fueled and ready." "He's running," Nora said. "Means he's worried, means we rattled him. Or he's leading us into a trap. Either way, we're going in. Maria, you good with a rifle?" "I'm former MP. I can shoot." "Then you're with Chen's daughter on Overwatch. Rodriguez and I go in close, fast and surgical. We grab Graves alive, secure the plane, and get answers before Phoenix can respond." They pulled off the main road a 1/4 mile from the airfield. Nora and Rodriguez moved through scrub brush on foot, while Maria and Chen's daughter found elevated positions with clear sight lines. The airfield was small, 1 runway, 3 hangars, a small office building. Graves's SUV sat parked near the largest hangar. Nora keyed her radio. "Overwatch report." "2 guards at the gate," Chen's daughter responded. "1 roving patrol between hangars. Target SUV stationary. No sign of Graves." "He's inside the hangar. Has to be." Nora looked at Rodriguez. "You take the rover. I'll handle the gate guards. On my mark." They split up. Nora circled wide, came up behind the gate guards. Both were armed but relaxed, clearly not expecting trouble. She moved fast, training overriding thought. A strike to the first guard's temple dropped him instantly. The second turned, reaching for his weapon. Nora was faster. She caught his wrist twisted, drove her knee into his solar plexus. He went down, choking. "Gate clear," she radioed. "Rover down." Rodriguez confirmed. They converged on the hangar. The door was partially open, light spilling out. Inside, Nora heard voices. She peeked around the edge, assessed the situation. Graves stood near a private jet phone to his ear, arguing with someone. His security guard, the one from the diner, stood nearby, weapon holstered but alert. No one else visible. Too easy. Way too easy. Nora's combat instincts screamed warning, but they were committed now. She signaled Rodriguez 2 targets, simultaneous takedown. Rodriguez nodded. They breached together. Nora went high. Rodriguez went low. The security guard never had a chance. Rodriguez's shot took him in the leg, dropping him immediately. Nora crossed the distance to Graves in 3 strides, weapon trained on his head. "Hang up the phone." Graves looked at her with no fear, just mild annoyance. "I'll call you back." He ended the call, pocketed the phone. "Nora Vale, I was hoping we'd meet eventually." "On your knees." "I don't think so." He gestured to the hangar rafters. "I'm not alone." Nora looked up and felt her stomach drop. 6 red dots appeared on her chest and Rodriguez's. Laser sights. 6 shooters in the rafters hidden in the shadows. They'd walked into exactly the trap Rodriguez had warned about. "You're good," Graves said conversationally. "Better than the contractors I sent. Better than Volkov's team. But you're predictable. I knew you'd come for me, so I prepared." He smiled. "Now drop your weapons, or my people turn you into Swiss cheese." Nora calculated odds. 6 shooters, elevated positions, clear fields of fire. She and Rodriguez were exposed in the center of the hangar. Even if they got to cover Maria and Chen's daughter, wouldn't have angles on all the targets. This was a kill box. She dropped her rifle. Rodriguez did the same, cursing under her breath. Graves walked closer, staying carefully out of the line of fire. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me where Elena Rodriguez is hiding. You're going to tell me where the 6 children are. And you're going to tell me what you know about the Copper Shield files. Do that, and I'll make your deaths quick. And if we don't, then I start with your friend. Let you watch her die slowly while you reconsider cooperation." He pulled out a knife. "I'm very good with knives. I can make it last hours." Nora's mind raced, looking for options. There had to be a way out. There was always a way out. She just needed gunfire erupted from outside the hangar. Not from Overwatch positions. From somewhere else. Multiple weapons, full automatic, tearing through the night. The 6 shooters in the rafters turned toward the sound. That moment of distraction was all Nora needed. She dove for her rifle, rolled, came up firing. Rodriguez did the same. The hangar exploded into chaos. Graves scrambled for cover. His security guard tried to draw despite his wounded leg. Rodriguez shot him again. The shooters in the rafters returned fire, but they were taking shots from outside now. Maria and Chen's daughter had repositioned, hitting them from new angles. 2 went down immediately. The other 4 scattered. Nora tracked Graves as he ran for the plane. She fired twice. He stumbled, hit in the leg, went down hard. She was on him in seconds, weapon to his head. "Don't move." He laughed through the pain. "You think you won? You think killing me ends this Phoenix is bigger than one person, bigger than you can imagine? Then you better start talking. Give me names. Give me locations. Give me the architect." The architect is a myth, a ghost story we tell assets to keep them motivated. Blood seeped through his pant leg. But Phoenix is real, and it's everywhere. Defense contractors, intelligence agencies, private military. We own pieces of everything. You can't fight us because we're already inside every system you could use against us. The gunfire outside had stopped. Nora keyed her radio. "Maria Chen report." "Clear," Maria responded. "We've got, you need to see this." Rodriguez appeared in the hangar doorway, face pale. "Nora, we've got a problem. Or maybe a solution. I can't tell which." Nora zip-tied Graves and dragged him outside. What she saw made her stop cold. 8 soldiers stood in formation near the hangar. Full tactical gear, night vision, suppressed weapons. Professional military operators. And at the front of the group, wearing colonel's insignia, stood Mark Sloan. "Apologies for being late," Sloan said. "Had to pull some strings to get here without Phoenix knowing. Couldn't risk calling ahead, they're monitoring all your communications." "How did you find us?" "I didn't. Captain James Chen did." Sloan gestured to one of the soldiers who stepped forward and removed their helmet. Chen's daughter gasped. The soldier was Chen. Captain James Chen. Alive. Scarred. Older, but unmistakably alive. "Hello, sweetheart," Chen said quietly, looking at his daughter. "Sorry I've been dead for 6 months, but I had a pretty good reason." Chen's daughter stood, frozen rifle hanging loose in her hands. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Nora watched the girl's face cycle through disbelief, hope, rage, and back to disbelief in the space of 3 seconds. "You're dead," the girl finally whispered. "I went to your funeral. I watched them fold the flag. I know." Chen took a step forward. His daughter took a step back. He stopped, pain flashing across his face. "I know what I put you through. I know what it cost. But I need you to understand I had to die to keep you alive." "That doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense." The girl's voice rose. "Mom cried for weeks. I dropped out of school. We moved 3 times because I couldn't handle being in the same town where everyone knew my dad was dead. And you were alive the whole time." "Not the whole time. For 6 months, yes. Before that," Chen gestured to the scars visible on his neck and hands, "I was in a medical facility in Germany. Critical condition. Phoenix thought I'd died in the medevac. I let them keep thinking it." Nora's mind was catching up to the implications. The funeral. The closed casket. "Empty," Sloan confirmed. "Chen contacted me from Germany 3 weeks after Kandahar. Told me Phoenix was hunting the team. Said if anyone knew he was alive, Phoenix would use his family as leverage. So we faked his death. Gave him a new identity. Let him hunt Phoenix from the shadows while they thought the threat was eliminated." Rodriguez limped forward, staring at Chen like he was a ghost. "You let us think you were dead. Torres, Kim, Patel, they all died believing you were gone." "I know." Chen's voice cracked. "I carry that every day. But if Phoenix knew I was alive, they would have killed all of you immediately. This way I could work in the dark, find their connections, map their network, build a case strong enough to bring them down." "And did you," Nora asked, "build a case?" "I built something better. I found the architect." Graves, still zip-tied on the ground, laughed through bloody teeth. Impossible. The architect doesn't exist. It's a compartmentalized AI system. No person, no target, just algorithms moving money and issuing contracts. You're half right, Chen said. The architect is an AI, but someone programmed it. Someone feeds it targets. Someone profits from every elimination. He pulled out a tablet, brought up files. Took me 5 months to trace the payment streams. Another month to crack the encryption. But I found them. 47 people across 6 countries. Defense executives, intelligence officials, private military CEOs. They created Phoenix Protocol as a cleanup operation for deals that went wrong. Arms sales to embargoed countries. Black site operations. Torture. Assassination. Every time someone got close to exposing them, Phoenix eliminated the threat. Operation Copper Shield, Nora said. We stumbled onto their server farm by accident. Pure bad luck. That compound wasn't Taliban. It was Phoenix's central data hub for the entire Middle East. Financial records, client lists, contracts going back 15 years. If that data got out, it would collapse half the defense industry and trigger international war crimes tribunals. Rodriguez looked at the tablet. Please tell me you copied it. I copied everything, encrypted it, distributed it across 12 different secure locations with deadman switches. If anything happens to me or my family, it all goes public. WikiLeaks, the New York Times, Al Jazeera. Every news organization on the planet gets access simultaneously. When Chen looked at his daughter. That's why I had to stay dead. That's why I couldn't contact you. As long as Phoenix thought I was gone, you were safe. They had no reason to target you. But they did target me, the girl said. They tried to kill me at Fort Liberty. They've been hunting me for weeks. Because someone talked. Chen's face hardened. Someone inside my operation leaked information that I was still alive. Phoenix found out 2 months ago. That's when they started going after the children, trying to draw me out of hiding. Sloan stepped forward. We traced the leak to a contractor inside NCIS. He's in custody now, but the damage was done. Phoenix activated elimination protocols for all Copper Shield family members. How many are left? Nora asked. Alive. Just these 6. The others were killed in the past 8 weeks. Car accidents, home invasions, drownings. Phoenix moved fast once they knew Chen was alive. Sloan looked at Graves. Which is why we need him talking. He's got the current Phoenix cell structure. Names, locations. We get that we can roll up the entire network before they go underground again. Graves spat blood. I'm not telling you anything. You've got nothing that scares me more than what Phoenix does to informants. Then you're not thinking creatively. Chen knelt beside him. See, I don't need you to talk. I just need you to stay alive long enough for Phoenix to think you're talking. We'll leak information that you've been captured, that you're cooperating, that you're giving up names. Phoenix will panic. They'll start eliminating their own people to prevent exposure. And while they're busy killing each other, we'll be picking apart their network piece by piece. You're bluffing. Am I? I stayed dead for 6 months while Phoenix hunted my team. I let people I cared about die to protect the larger mission. You think I won't sacrifice you? Chen's voice went cold. You're a tool, nothing more. And when this is over, you'll spend the rest of your life in a cell watching everyone you worked with die knowing you could have prevented it by cooperating. Nora saw the calculation in Graves's eyes. Saw him weighing options, measuring outcomes. He was a professional. He knew when he'd lost. What do you want to know? Graves asked quietly. Everything. Start with the 47 names on Chen's list. Confirm or deny each one. Then we'll move to current operations. Graves talked for 90 minutes. Names, locations, bank accounts, safe houses. Phoenix operated out of 6 major hubs: Washington, D.C., London, Moscow, Dubai, Singapore, and Johannesburg. Each hub handled a different region, but they all reported to a central committee of 7 executives. The committee made decisions by majority vote, all communications encrypted through the Architect AI. Who programmed the Architect? Nora asked. I don't know. That information is compartmentalized above my clearance. Only the committee knows. Who's on the committee? Graves listed 7 names. 3 were defense contractor CEOs. 2 were former intelligence directors. 1 was a serving senator. The last was a 4-star general who'd retired 5 years ago. Chen recorded everything. When Graves finally stopped talking, exhausted and pale from blood loss, Chen looked at Sloane. Enough to move? More than enough. We've got testimony documentation and physical evidence. I can have warrants issued within 6 hours. Sloane pulled out his phone. But we need to move fast. Once Phoenix realizes Graves is compromised, they'll burn everything and scatter. Then we hit them simultaneously, Chen said. All 6 hubs, all 7 committee members, coordinated strikes before they can react. That's a military operation. I can't authorize that on my own. You don't have to. I've been building a coalition for months. NCIS, FBI, Interpol, British MI6, French DGSE, every agency that's lost people to Phoenix over the years. They're all waiting for my signal. Chen looked at the soldiers he'd brought. These 8 operators, they're just the visible team. I've got 60 more staged across the globe ready to move on my command. Nora felt something shift in her chest. Not quite hope, but close. For 18 months, she'd been running hiding serving eggs and pretending the past was dead. Now she was standing at the center of an operation that could bring down the people responsible for murdering her team. What do you need from us? She asked Chen. You've already done it. You kept my daughter alive. You protected the 6 recruits. You forced Phoenix to overextend their resources and expose their network. He looked at her tattoos. 847 devices diffused. What's one more? Phoenix isn't a device. It's a network. Then we'll diffuse it the same way you diffuse everything else. Carefully, methodically, by cutting the right wires in the right order. Chen pulled up a map on his tablet. Here's the plan. At 0600 tomorrow, 60 operators hit all 6 Phoenix hubs simultaneously. We arrest every person Graves identified. We seize their servers. We freeze their accounts. While that's happening, you and Rodriguez take the 6 recruits somewhere safe, somewhere off-grid. You stay there until we confirm Phoenix is dismantled. What about you? His daughter asked. Her voice was small, fragile. I'll be in Washington watching the committee members get arrested. Then I'll be in debriefings for about 6 months explaining how I faked my death and ran an unauthorized international operation. He smiled sadly. After that, I'll be discharged, probably court-martialed, definitely blacklisted. But you'll be safe. That's all that matters. No. The girl stepped forward. You don't get to do this. You don't get to sacrifice yourself again after making me think you were dead for 6 months. We'll find another way. There is no other way. Phoenix has to fall, and someone has to answer for the unauthorized operation that brought them down. That someone is me. Then I'll testify. I'll tell them you were protecting your family. I'll make them understand. Sweetheart, don't sweetheart me. You taught me to fight. You taught me to never give up. You think I'm going to let you walk into a cell without a fight? She turned to Sloane. He gets immunity. Full immunity. Or I go to the press with everything. Every detail about Phoenix. Every name. Every crime. I'll burn it all down publicly and let the chips fall where they may. Sloane looked at Chen. Chen looked at his daughter. Something passed between them. Understanding respect. Love. She's your daughter, all right, Sloane said. Stubborn as hell. He sighed. I'll see what I can do. No promises. But I'll try. That's all I'm asking, the girl said. They spent the next 4 hours securing the airfield and preparing for the coordinated strikes. Chen's team medevaced Graves to a secure facility for further interrogation. The bodies were documented and removed. The 6 recruits were brought in from Rodriguez's house and briefed on the situation. Nora watched them process the information, watched them realize their parents had died protecting something bigger than themselves, watched them understand they'd been targeted not for who they were, but for what they represented, living proof that Phoenix's crimes had consequences. "What happens to us after?" Patel's son asked. "After Phoenix falls? Do we just go back to normal life?" "There is no normal after this," Rodriguez said. "You'll be witnesses in the biggest military corruption case in history. Your lives will never be simple again." "Good," the boy said. "Simple is boring. I'd rather be complicated and alive." The other recruits nodded. Even Danny, still recovering from his infected wound, managed a weak smile. These kids had been through hell in 48 hours. They'd been attacked, hunted, shot at, and traumatized. But they hadn't broken. Chen's daughter stood next to her father, and Nora saw how similar they were. Same posture, same determination, same refusal to give up even when the odds were impossible. "You raised her well," Nora said quietly to Chen. "I had help. Her mother did most of the work. I was just the example, good and bad." He looked at Nora. "Thank you for keeping her alive, for teaching her to fight. I know you didn't ask for this, but you stepped up anyway. She's your daughter, and you were my CO. That makes her family." Nora glanced at her tattoos. "I've been carrying your name for 6 months, carrying all their names. Felt like the least I could do was make sure their kids survived. You did more than that. You gave them a chance to finish what we started." Chen extended his hand. "Thank you, Sergeant Vale, for everything." Nora shook it. "Just doing my job, sir." "Your job was serving eggs in a mess hall. This was above and beyond." At 05:30 the next morning, Nora stood with Rodriguez and the 6 recruits in a safe house 3 hours north of Carson City. They watched on encrypted feeds as 60 operators hit Phoenix hubs across the globe. Washington fell first. FBI agents storming an office building in Arlington, arresting 4 committee members before they could react. London followed 20 minutes later. Moscow resisted 2 Phoenix operatives killed in a firefight before the rest surrendered. Dubai went smoothly. Singapore put up a brief fight but folded when local police surrounded their facility. Johannesburg was the hardest. Phoenix had contracted local mercenaries for security, and the firefight lasted 90 minutes before the last holdouts were subdued. By 0700, it was over. All 6 hubs secured. All 7 committee members in custody. Phoenix Protocol was finished. Chen called at 07:15. "It's done. We got them all. Servers seized, accounts frozen, key personnel arrested. Phoenix is dead." Nora felt something unclench in her chest. Relief, exhaustion, victory. "What about you?" "Sloan's working on immunity. No guarantees, but he's got support from the agencies that helped with the takedown. They want Phoenix buried more than they want to punish me for the unauthorized op." A pause. "How's my daughter?" "Strong, stubborn, takes after her father. Tell her I'll be there by tonight. And tell her I'm sorry. For everything. Tell her yourself. She deserves to hear it from you." "I will. And Nora, your name's being cleared. The terrorism charges at Fort Liberty are dropped. You're officially a hero again." "I was never a hero. Just someone who did the job." "That's what makes you a hero." Chen hung up. Nora set down the phone and looked at the 6 recruits. They'd been through hell and come out the other side. Not unscathed, Danny still had his shoulder wound, and all of them would carry psychological scars for years. but alive. Safe. Free. "What now?" Chen's daughter asked. "Now we wait for your father. We give statements to about 15 different agencies. We probably spend the next 6 months in protective custody while lawyers and investigators sort through the aftermath." Nora smiled slightly. "Then we figure out what normal looks like." "And you?" Rodriguez asked. "What are you going to do?" Nora looked down at her arms, at the tattoos that had defined her for so long. 847 hash marks, 6 names, proof of who she'd been, what she'd survived, who she'd lost. "I think I'm going to keep serving food," she said. "Maybe not at Fort Liberty, maybe somewhere quieter. But I liked that life. Simple, honest, helping people without them knowing who I was. After everything that just happened, you want to go back to anonymity. Anonymity was never the point. Service was the point. Doesn't matter if I'm defusing bombs or serving eggs, both feed people just in different ways." She looked at Chen's daughter. "Your father taught me that. Real service isn't about recognition. It's about needs met, lives protected. Applause is nice, but it's not why you do the work." The girl nodded slowly. "He used to say that exact thing. Said the best operators are the ones nobody knows about because they're too busy doing the job to care about credit. Smart man. You should listen to him." They spent the day resting, eating real food, and processing trauma. By evening, Chen arrived with Sloan and a convoy of federal agents. The reunion between father and daughter was private, tearful, and long overdue. When they emerged from the bedroom where they'd talked, both had red eyes but lighter expressions. "We're good," Chen's daughter said simply. "It'll take time, but we're good." Sloan addressed the group. "You'll all need to give formal statements starting tomorrow. The investigation will take months, possibly years. Phoenix had operations in 40 countries and connections to dozens of governments. Untangling it all will be messy." He looked at Nora. "But you're clear. All charges dropped. Your service record restored. You're officially Sergeant Nora Vale again with full honors. And if I don't want full honors, if I just want to disappear back into civilian life, then that's your right. You've earned it." Sloan hesitated. "But for what it's worth, the Army could use someone like you. Someone who knows how to defuse situations before they explode. Instructor role, maybe. Training the next generation. I'll think about it. That's all I ask." He distributed paperwork, explained the legal process, and left with his convoy. Chen stayed behind. "I owe you everything," he said to Nora. "My daughter's alive because of you. All 6 of these kids are alive because you refused to let them die. I did what anyone would do. No. You did what a Delta operator does, what someone with 847 saves on their record does. You saw a problem and fixed it even when it cost you everything you'd built over 8 months." He gestured to her tattoos. "You've been carrying our names, carrying our ghosts. Maybe it's time to let us rest. We're not chains. We're not burdens. We're proof that you survived to finish the mission." Nora traced the names on her arm. Jensen, Torres, Kim, Patel, Rodriguez, who stood beside her alive and whole, Chen, who stood in front of her no longer dead. "Some of you came back," she said quietly, "and some of us never left. We've been with you the whole time. Every device you defused, every egg you served, every life you saved. We were there." Chen touched her shoulder. "Thank you for carrying us. But you don't have to anymore. We're home now. All of us." 3 weeks later, Nora stood in a mess hall in Fort Carson, Colorado. Not serving food this time. Teaching. She'd taken Sloane's offer instructor position training combat engineers and EOD specialists, passing on knowledge that had kept her alive through 847 devices and one international conspiracy. The recruits called her Ghost after word spread about her role in bringing down Phoenix. She didn't correct them. Ghosts were hard to kill. Ghosts moved unseen. Ghosts protected the living while carrying the dead. But at night, when she took off her uniform and looked at her tattoos, she didn't see chains anymore. She saw family. She saw sacrifice. She saw proof that service without glory was still service, and sometimes that service saved the world without anyone noticing. Chen's daughter visited twice a month, training for Special Forces selection. Danny recovered fully and returned to active duty. Patel's son requested transfer to EOD training. The other 3 recruits scattered to different posts, but they stayed in touch. They'd survived together. That made them family. Rodriguez opened a consulting firm teaching corporate security, but she called Nora weekly. Maria returned to Fort Liberty, accepted a position as head of base security, and spent her weekends visiting her mother and sisters in San Diego, alive and safe, finally free of Phoenix's shadow. And Nora. She served food, sometimes taught classes most days, and slept without nightmares for the first time in 2 years. The tattoos stayed. The memories stayed. But the weight lifted, replaced by something quieter. Purpose. She'd spent 847 missions defusing bombs, spent 18 months defusing herself, spent 1 week defusing the biggest conspiracy the military had ever seen. And she'd do it all again tomorrow if someone needed help, because that's what operators did. They saw problems, and they fixed them whether anyone was watching or not. Service without glory. Needs met, lives protected. It wasn't about applause. It was about keeping people alive long enough to appreciate another sunrise, another meal, another chance to make the world slightly less broken than they'd found it. That was the job. That had always been the job. And Sergeant Nora Vale, the ghost of Kandahar, the kitchen worker who stopped an explosion, the woman with 847 saves and 6 names on her arm, was exactly where she needed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do, with no regrets and no looking back.